who was the best forward on this team, who was the MVP, who has the best team dog, and who's your favourite Blue Jacket. We're playing Whose Kepi Is It Anyway? The Locked On CBJ 2022 awards season is upon us, and that is what is coming up today on Locked On Blue Jackets.
Locked On Blue Jackets, your daily podcast on the Columbus Blue Jackets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Blue Jackets. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am, as always, your host, Jay Foster, here to bring you all of the stories, the news, the trials, the tribulations, the joys, the agonies of the Columbus Blue Jackets. And there's not really any of those right now because they're not playing. Their season's just finished, and so I thought we would do some superlatives, I guess. We'll do who was the best player, who has the best hair, and kind of a little bit of everything in between. So that is kind of what's coming up today on Locked On Blue Jackets. Is we're going to do an award season. So I sent out a form to Twitter earlier today with a bunch of options for different award categories, and so I thought I would share the results with you. Sometimes there have been draws, or in some cases there have been, 3 or 4 guys could potentially have won this one spot, but I will, I get the deciding vote in there because it's my show and it's my poll and I do what I want. So, like I said, that is the plan for today. I'm super excited. I think, this is going to be a really good starting point to kind of look at the season as a whole, and we're going to use this as a jumping off point to kind of do some more in-depth player evaluations as the off season progresses. Hopefully, we're going to finish up the week with a couple of draft profiles with some draft experts. But right now, I thought let's take a look at the team we have right now and see who wins what award. So I thought we would start off with some pretty simple ones. We're going to do best forward, best defenseman, and best goalie. It will shock all of you to know that there is only, of all of the responses, every single person voted unanimously for best goalie. But we're going to start off with best forward. So I've got a couple of different responses here and a couple of more surprising ones, I guess. So I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit about the honorable mentions before talking about the eventual winner. So a couple of people said Boone Jenner, which was not a name I was expecting, but I could see it. Obviously, Boone Jenner missed the last month and a half-ish of the season with the back injury. He only played 59 games, but in those 59 games, he had 23 goals, 21 assists, and 44 points. He was on pace to beat his career high in basically everything. His previous career high was 49 points, which he managed in 82 games. That was his 30-goal season. That was the only other season that he made above 18 goals. And if he'd managed to stay healthy, I like to think he probably would have reached that 30-goal mark and just gone right past it. So, hitting 5 points shy of your career high in 30 games less, I think is, or 23 games less, excuse me, I think is definitely deserving of an honorable mention. The other honorable mention, Oliver Bjorkstrand, who finished the season leading the team in goals. He had 28 of them in 80 games played, 57 points. Just a real... Oliver Bjorkstrand keeps going from strength to strength. If we look at his last 4 seasons, the last time he played a full season was in 2017-2018. Winning assists. The season after that, 2018, he played 77 games, had 36 points. So that was the season where everyone was injured, I'm pretty sure. That was the season where he broke his ankle, actually, I think. 36 points, again, in only 49 games. He had 44 points last season in 56 games, and then with 80 games this season, 28 goals, 29 assists, 57 points, a career high, and he's not done yet. I think Alfred Yorkstrand could definitely definitely hit another level. But the winner for today, or for this award anyway, the best forward. This probably I could have gone either way. The votes were pretty split between Bjorkstrand and who I'm calling the winner, but I think he just pipped it, and he's who my vote is going to, and that's Patrick Laine, who got a lot of flack last season for not being very good. Got a lot of flack this season for being a bust, and then you look at his points, and this is something we've talked about a lot on this show. He was a point per game player when he went down with that injury near the end of the season. He played 56 games, had 56 points, 26 goals. So again, he was on pace for 30, 35 goals if he hadn't missed, the I think he played for like a month of the season, then missed the next two, and then came back, and that was when he really kind of, turned it on. Not quite career highs. His career high is 70 points, which he did in his sophomore season with Winnipeg. But again, in 82 games, 70 points, he was on pace to eclipse that by a fair amount. Probably wouldn't have beaten his goals total, but Patrick Laine was just, I don't know, he was a game changer for the Blue Jackets this season. And I think that's, Oliver Bjorkstrand had career highs, Bujetta, phenomenal player, had a really great season. Patrick Laine was just on a different level for most of this season. And it is such a shame that he got injured right at the end there when, he was really only starting to get going, I think. Like, he was really at that point where I was like, he's still got another level in him, and then he got injured, and then he missed the last, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks of the season. And I don't think that Patrick Laine, being healthy all season, would have gotten the Blue Jackets to the playoffs, but I think he would have probably been the difference maker in a handful more games. And I think he could have made the playoff race a little bit more interesting. And so he is who I am giving the best forward of the year to. Next up, we're going to go best defender. That is what will come next. But first, I've got to tell you about a new sponsor, and that is Athletic Greens. I've been using Athletic Greens for a couple of months now. I started taking them because I've been having some health issues, some energy issues, some sleep issues. I really hate taking like pills and vitamins, and I've been taking it for about 2 months now, and it's been just a lifesaver. It's been a complete game changer for my general day-to-day like well-being. If you don't know what Athletic Greens is, it is 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food sourced superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging. It is good for all of the things. All of the things that you might be worried about in terms of your diet, then Athletic Greens can fix it for you. And it is lifestyle friendly, whether you eat keto, paleo, vegan, dairy-free, or gluten-free. You can take Athletic Greens. It is just one scoop in a cup of water. You don't have to take like a bajillion different pills and vitamins and like iron pills and all of that stuff. You don't have to do that. You can just take Athletic Greens, and it costs you less than $3 a day. You're investing in your health, and it's cheaper than a Starbucks. So go to athleticgreens.com right now, and to make it easy for you, Athletic Greens is giving you a chance to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. Like I said, it's just one scoop in a cup of water every day. That is it. There's no need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. And to make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NHL network. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/NHL network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. So let's talk defenseman, because there was really only one option for me this season, and that's Zach Werenski. I got a fair amount of votes for Andrew Peeke. I did not get any votes for Vladislav Gavrikov, which surprised me. I thought he might be kind of a stealth second pick for a lot of people, but it's got to be Zach Werenski, who, we talked at the start of the season how he has to figure out who he is away from Seth Jones. And I think he's figured it out. He's had some health issues over the season. Obviously, he's had, 2 concussions in the last month or whatever. He broke his nose right at the end of the season. He missed some time before that as well. He only played 68 of the 82 games. He had 48 points in that, which I believe is still a career high. It is by we beat his rookie points record by 1 point. And he did everything that the team needed him to do. I think he proved himself as a legitimate number 1 defenseman in this league. I think he proved that he can be a good defenseman without Seth Jones. You've got to think this is the first time that we've seen a full season of Zach Werenski without Seth Jones stapled to his hip. There have been times where they were separated in past seasons. One of them was injured, or Tortorella was mixing things up and mixing up the deep pairings. But this was the first full season where he did not have Seth Jones to fall back on, and I think he did a really, really outstanding job in being his own defenseman and figuring out that he can be Zach Werenski and not just half of Werenski and Jones. So kudos to him. Honorable mention, of course, to Andrew Peeke, who played basically triple the amount of minutes on average that he's used to playing. Kind of jumped into that top 4 defensive spot without any warning or anything like that. We had a lot of injuries to defense on this Blue Jackets team this season, and I think he rose to the challenge. But to me, there's really only one answer to who is the best defenseman on this team, and it has to be Zach Werenski. Just like I think there's really only one answer to who was the best goaltender this season, and it's got to be Elvis. I talked a lot in yesterday's episode about how Elvis was not as good as I think anyone needed him to be, or even that he wanted to be himself. And we talked a little bit about that and how the defense was just not there for him this season. But when you just look at the base stats, he played 59 games, had a 907 save percentage with a 3.22 goals allowed against average, and that's, I don't know, to me, that kind of says it all. If you're allowing a lot of goals per game, but your save percentage is still above 900, that's, to me, says the defense is not very good. And I don't necessarily like wins or goals against average as stats to evaluate goalies. But, they are there, they exist. And especially towards the end of the regular season, obviously Korpisalo got shut down with a hip injury. And Elvis played I think Elvis played 14 of the last 16 Blue Jackets games. Berube played 2 games in the last kind of little stretch of the season. And apart from that, it was Merzlikins playing, both sides of a back-to-back, or he would play, I think he played 7 or 8 games in a row without getting a break. And to his credit, I disagreed with the methods that Larson was employing, but Merzlikins rose to the occasion. I thought he did fantastic at the latter half of the season, and I think that's a good, solid base for us to kind of look at when we go into next season and start thinking about, okay, well, how do we build on this? As much as I like Korpisalo, and I do think he was kind of set up to fail this season, not necessarily on purpose. I think just Elvis is capable of kind of making up for some of the defensive lapses. I don't think Korpisalo is. And also, again, this is something we've talked about before. Jonas Korpisalo is a goalie that plays better the more he plays. And he just wasn't getting the starts this season. It was kind of a vicious cycle of, well, his numbers weren't very good. So he was going to get less starts. But the less starts he gets, the his numbers get, because he's a goalie that plays better the more games he plays. You looked at that first season when Bobrovsky left, and he was basically the starting goalie because Elvis was struggling, got named to the All-Star game, that season, went down with a knee injury, literally the day before this was announced. And he was fantastic in that season. And as Elvis has been getting better and better, and Elvis has been commanding more and more starts, Korpisalo's been getting worse and worse. And so I don't think it's unfair to say that Elvis was the better goalie, but I do think that has to come with a caveat of Korpisalo was not put in a position to succeed this season. And that's why I think Elvis was the better goalie this season. We're going to move ahead to who the overall MVP of this team is. And we're going to do that in just a minute. But first, I want to tell you about BetOnline, because if I had put money on who people were going to vote for the MVP of this team, I would not have made very much money, because I was pretty surprised by some of the options that came through in the poll. I don't know that you could have got this information at betonline.net, but I bet they have something similar, because betonline.net is your number one source for all your betting stats and sports information. You can find the latest sports developments, league reviews, and news, including this year's basketball playoffs, Major League Baseball, and this weekend's run to the Roses as the Kentucky Derby is back. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sporting wagering information, from live betting to playoffs, esports, and more. They've got boxing, they've got UFC, they've got hockey, they've got Vegas casino games. So head to the website today, that's betonline.net, or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action, because BetOnline is where the game starts. So let's talk MVPs, because I got a ton of different responses here, and I wasn't necessarily expecting any of them. And it's weird, because I think my choice for MVP is not actually one of the three that I just said were best forward, best defender, and best goalie. My pick for MVP is actually Oliver Bjorkstrand, who has been just kind of a force for this team. He hasn't been as flashy as Patrick Laine. He hasn't been as much of a game breaker as Patrick Laine, but this is something I've talked about a lot with Sarah Avapato over on Locked On Kings. I talked about it last week on Monsters Musings with Weinheimer, the AHL Cleveland Monsters podcast that we do. What does it mean to be the most valuable player? Is it the best? Is it the best player on the team, or is it the player that is the most valuable to that team? And as much as Patrick Laine was a game changer with his just straight up stats, his goals, his offensive play, to me, Oliver Bjorkstrand brings not only the points, the goals, he also brings that transition, that elite kind of underlying metric that I don't think Patrick Laine has. I think Patrick Laine is dominant in so many areas, but to me, Laine needs a guy like Bjorkstrand to kind of as support, I guess. I got a couple of other answers which which were kind of interesting, and I thought about, but no one said Gus Nyquist, which I was surprised by. I would have had him as a sneaky pick for MVP, because again, I feel like he was a really great supporting character. I think the team would have struggled a lot without him, in a different way than how the team struggled without Patrick Laine on it. So I got let's have a look. I got Jack Roslovic. There was votes for Oliver Bjorkstrand. There was votes for Boone Jenner. There was votes for Sean Corrali. There was votes for, which I thought was a really interesting option. There was one vote for Cole Sillinger, and I don't know who it was, but I respect that, because I do think Cole Sillinger, who we're probably going to talk about next as we move into the best newcomer of the season, and Jake Voracek as well. I didn't get any votes for Jake Voracek, which surprised me. He also would have been high on my list for MVP and for best forward, so it feels appropriate that we're going to talk about him now for best newcomer. Kind of feels weird to call him a newcomer, considering this is his second tenure with the team, but he's been gone since like 2012. He's been gone for 10 years. He's back, and he led the team in points, despite only having like 6 goals on the season. He had a crazy, crazy good year. Again, another one of those players that, like Bjorkstrand, I think makes the team better around them in a way that is not necessarily quantifiable, I don't think. I think he had a really good effect on the rookies. It was a very, very young team. We've talked a lot over the season of, how he's played a lot with Cole Sillinger and with Igor Chinikov. He got some time with Kent Johnson there at the very end. A lot of the new players spent some time on a line with Jake Voracek, and I think that's been the key to the young player's success, is having a guy like Voracek to be able to lean on. And so, yeah, I can see I can see why people picked him for Newcomer. The guy that ended up getting the majority of the vote was, of course, Cole Sillinger. But I hadn't even considered that Voracek could be considered a newcomer, because I think, to me, it kind of feels like he's been here the whole time. I keep forgetting that this is technically his first season back with the team. I don't know. It feels like he's always been here. And I don't know whether that's a me thing or a him thing, but the winner for best newcomer is Cole Sillinger, who had a 16-goal performance. He had, I believe, 30 points on the season. He had 31 points on the season in 79 games. And for a guy that, it's been talked about a lot, he was not anyone's first pick for guy to make it in the NHL straight out of camp, straight out of being drafted. He was one of 3 first-round picks that made it, got the 10 games. He was the only one that made it to game 11. William Eklund went back to Sweden, and Mason McTavish went back to the OHL to, I believe, play for the Peterborough Petes. Both very, very good players. No one was expecting Cole Sillinger to stick around, but he did. I still, there's still that extremely funny quote of Brad Larson being like, I keep telling him that I'm trying to get rid of him, and he keeps doing things that won't let me do that. So, considering the youngest player in the league, just, you can tell he got better and better and better every game. Every prospect guy that I've had on the show to talk about other people, inevitably we get talking about Cole Sillinger and just what a player he's going to be. You could see it. I can't wait for him and Kent Johnson to be on the same line for the next 10 years and just cause all kinds of problems on purpose. But yeah, for me, he's the Blue Jackets Rookie of the Year. Obviously, they had about 700 rookies, but it has to be, for me, Cole Sillinger is the Rookie of the Year and also the best newcomer. We've got a bunch more, but I think actually we're going to split this into 2 episodes. We'll finish this off tomorrow because I have a feeling that I am going to spend a lot of time on the next award. So we're going to call it here. That's all I've got for you today. Like I said, we'll finish this off tomorrow. We'll do a part 2. There's some more serious questions coming. There's some more fun questions coming. More fun questions than serious questions, I'm not going to lie, but hopefully we'll find that sweet spot in between, and we'll have some fun with the serious, and we'll have some serious with the fun. But I've been Jay Foster. You can find me on Twitter at _Jacob Foster. It's down here if you don't want me to spell it out, but I will. JAKOBFORSTER for those of you who are on audio, not on video. Thank you for making this your first listen of the day, despite the fact that it's 5 p.m. or your first watch of the day. If you're not watching on YouTube, then please go and hit the subscribe button over there. I super appreciate it. We're on Twitter over at LO_Blue Jackets. If you have comments, questions, criticisms, you can email me over at lockedonbluejackets@gmail.com. I'll be back bright and early tomorrow with another edition of Whose Kepi Is It Anyway, where we'll finish off these award shows. But until then, make sure you stay locked on.